Reddit horror stories. It's been 10 years since my sister Clara vanished without a trace. It was an ordinary day until the sun set and she never came home. The search efforts were intense but fruitless, and the grief tore our family apart. But deep down, I always knew she hadn't really left. Every night at 3:33 a.m., Clara returns. She stands motionless beside my bed, her eyes dark and empty, staring intently at me. She whispers something, her voice faint and distant, but I can always make out one phrase, "Tommy, help me." But this isn't the Clara I knew. Her face is pale, marked by an unnatural stillness, as if something ancient and malevolent has taken hold of her. I know I need to find out what happened to her, to uncover the truth behind her disappearance. The more she visits, the more the shadows in my room seem to grow, as if they're alive. I can't escape the feeling that I'm being watched by something sinister, something that wants more than just to haunt me. I stared at the photograph Clara had left on my bed. It was impossible. She looked exactly the same as the day she disappeared, not a day older. But the background in the picture was unfamiliar. It wasn't taken in our town or anywhere I recognized. The shadows in the photo were unnaturally long, stretching out like dark fingers reaching for her. I knew I had to find the location in the photo. I scanned every detail, hoping for a clue. There was a tree, twisted and gnarled, standing alone against a dim, cloudy sky. Behind it, a small, dilapidated cabin, its windows shattered. Something about the place sent a shiver down my spine. It felt wrong, like it didn't belong in this world. That night, I dreamt of the cabin. In my dream, I was standing in front of it, the same eerie shadows surrounding me. I could hear Clara's voice, faint and distant, calling my name, begging me to help her. The door of the cabin creaked open slowly, revealing nothing but darkness inside. As I stepped closer, something cold and slimy brushed against my arm, and I jolted awake, drenched in sweat. The next day, I decided to search for the cabin. I spent hours driving through back roads and old trails, asking anyone I could about the place in the photo. Most people had never seen anything like it, but a few older locals mentioned an abandoned cabin deep in the woods, far from any path. They warned me not to go, telling me stories about people who ventured there and were never the same again. Ignoring their warnings, I set out that afternoon. The deeper I went into the woods, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The trees seemed to close in around me, blocking out the sunlight. Finally, I found it, the cabin from the photo. It looked exactly the same, as if it hadn't aged a day, just like Clara. My heart pounded as I approached the door. The air was thick with a strange, metallic smell, and the shadows around the cabin seemed to move on their own. I hesitated, remembering the warnings, but Clara's voice echoed in my mind. I had to know the truth.